Welcome! Today we're going to dive into a really powerful story about how a single ancient idea can totally transform our communication, our careers, and even our own inner peace. It's a journey from all that noise out there to a kind of harmony, and it starts right now.
So let's just paint a picture here. A world that probably sounds, well, really familiar. It's just full of digital chatter, constant pings and demands, and this relentless pressure to always be on. This is the world where our story kicks off.
And right at the center of this world, we meet Amira. Now, on paper, she has it all. She's a brilliant architect, highly respected, known for her sharp mind and amazing designs. But underneath that shiny surface, there's this deep, quiet exhaustion. And that's the real conflict here, that huge gap between looking successful and actually feeling it.
This brings us to the first chapter of her story, what the source material calls shor or kamyabi, which translates to noise and success. Let's dig into the hidden price Umar was paying for this high-achieving life, a cost that I think a lot of us might recognize.
I mean, her days were just a complete blur of deadlines. Her relationships at work, even the good ones, felt like just one transaction after another. And her evenings, you'd think that would be her time to unwind, right? Nope. She'd just spend them replaying arguments in her head, worrying about what was coming next. It was this constant, low-level stress just simmering right below the surface of all her success.
And then, something shifts. A chance discovery opens up a completely new way of thinking for Umrah, something her grandmother calls Jannat ki Guftagu, or the language of heaven.
One morning, she's looking through her grandmother's Quran, and she stumbles upon this short, really powerful verse, but only the saying, peace, peace. That's it. So simple. But for Amra, these few words were about to change absolutely everything.
Her grandmother, Fatima, explains it to her. Imagine a way of being where every single word you speak and every word you hear is just pure peace. No harshness, no gossip, no blame, no anxiety, just salam, salam. It's described as the language of heaven, but Fatima suggests it's something you can actually practice right here on earth.
So, how does an idea like that actually work in the real world? Well, it all starts with the first stage of her transformation, finding internal, Rahani's Sukoon, or spiritual peace, by making this verse her guide for everyday life.
She made it practical. That verse, it became her silent mantra, kind of running in the background of her mind. And that made her suddenly aware of all the little bits of aggression in her own words, the quick criticisms, the impatient tones. She even started to pray not just for her own peace, but for her speech to be peaceful. And the result? It was like this huge weight was just lifted off her chest. She felt lighter, finally free from all that internal noise.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. That inner peace doesn't just stay inside. It starts to radiate outward into what our story calls akhlaqi mazbuti, or ethical strength. We're going to see how her inner calm completely changed her interactions, turning these moments of potential conflict into real opportunities for connection.
And here's the perfect example. A junior colleague, Omar, he presents a flawed idea in a big meeting. Now the old Amra, she would have pointed out every single error immediately, maybe even with a little bit of annoyance. But instead, she hears that echo of salam in her mind, and she just pauses.
This slide just crystallizes the change in her. Look at this. Instead of being quick to criticize, she paused. Instead of being driven by this need to be right, she was driven by a desire to guide gently. Her whole focus shifted from winning the argument to preserving Omar's dignity. She helped him find the right answer without ever making him feel small, and it changed the whole dynamic.
So that leads us to maybe the most surprising part of this whole story, dunyavi kamyabi, or worldly success. You might think this is all about inner peace, but it turns out that this spiritual and ethical shift had these incredibly real, positive results in her professional life.
The ripple effect was just amazing. Team meetings, which used to be these competitive battlegrounds, they became truly collaborative. Clients trusted her more because she was actually listening, and she responded with this calm confidence. She even saved a project that was about to go up in flames with a difficult client, not by being aggressive, but by being respectful and clear. Her whole office just became a more harmonious place to be.
This all leads to the final big realization of her journey, what the source calls Karasta, the path of peace. It's really the culmination of everything she's learned and put into practice.
Her grandmother, Fatima, sees her navigate this really complex disagreement with such ease and says this to her: "Your words, which were once sharp tools, have now become bridges of peace." I mean,
What a beautiful way to sum up her entire transformation. And this was it. This was the central theme of her new life. Amira realized that her greatest achievement wasn't some prestigious contract or a new building she designed. It was the ability to create peace, first inside herself and then in the world around her, right in the middle of all that noise.
So that leaves us with a question to think about, doesn't it? In our own lives, full of deadlines and emails and social media, what would it look like if we consciously chose a different way to speak? How can that simple, powerful idea of salam, of peace, begin to echo in your words?